channel RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
A straight question deserves a straight answer. Presenting straight from Radyo Bandido in partnership with the Philippine Star. An ongoing question and answer series with candidates for the May 9 elections. This week's candidate, former Secretary of National Defense of the Philippines, Gibo Teodoro, answers the question straight. This is straight from Radyo Bandido.
For the first question, sir, as a former defense secretary with vast knowledge on the matter, what legislation will you push for to address the problem on the disputed West Philippine Sea, which the Chinese are claiming to be theirs?
All right. Thank you very much for asking the question. We have the law on our side, and that law is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, where it is clear. We have an arbitral award which said that China claims as basing its claims on cannot trump the provisions of UNCLOS. Unfortunately, the law is the United Nations Charter, where any enforcement action is subject to the whims of ultimately the five permanent members of the Security Council. Any which one of them has a veto, single one of them, and China is one of them. Now, I think the best way really is to create enough noise. Now, in order to do that, we have to find an interest that several countries share with us in order for these interests to outweigh their bilateral relations with China. Secondly, we also have to have the capability to prevent and to deter further expansion by China and creeping expansion on our exclusive economic zone. Now, to do that, on the other hand, that's where probably legislation comes in, because then it's a capability upgrade, continuing capability upgrade of our armed forces and our digital and cyber capabilities. On the other hand, the most important piece legislation that one can do, is to upgrade the capabilities and the gravitas of our Department of Foreign Affairs. But the Department of Foreign Affairs, together with the Department of National Defense proper, should provide the proper policy guidance and inputs and research and networking with potential partners in this endeavor. We're not going to win our claim through actual combat. We will win it through diplomacy.
That was straight from Radyo Bandido. Stay tuned daily till Election Day for this ongoing series.
Good morning, everyone. This is your newest host, Jeras Sison, para sa pinakabagong program here on RJTV, and it's called Everything Under the Sun. Now, you might be wondering, ano itong everything under the sun? Because we'll be discussing more or less any issues under the sun. It may be politics, education, sports, entertainment, movies, anything and everything. Okay? So, later on, we'll be discussing vital issues, current issues that affects us, like the one that's happening right now in Europe, wherein there's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. And, you know, because of the economic sanctions, we are affected lalo na sa pagtaas ng mga presyo ng gasolina. And once we talk about having higher fuel prices, susunod na dyan yung mga ibang pagtaas ng presyo tulad ng mga pagkain, bilihin, kuryente, and everything. Everything. So hopefully this will not escalate so that, maganda rin naman kasi that we all live in peace. And we have a special guest. Okay? I will give you a little bit of a clue who would be our guest for today. Okay? If we talk about Gary Valenciano, we talk about pure energy. Well, this guy is also considered as Mr. Pure Energy. And you will know why I'm calling him also another pure energy. So, everything under the sun will be back. Don't go away. Okay, welcome back. This is Jeras Sison, your host for Everything Under the Sun. Now, if you will notice, look at my shirt. It's kind of tropical, right? Siyempre naman, because para shoot naman sa ating program, Everything Under the Sun. Especially, summer is fast approaching. And I think we can feel summer. It's just around the corner. Mainit na rin. Minsan, I don't know if some of you experience medyo mahina ang pressure ng water o kaya naman no water at all. Well, this has been happening every summer. Kaya I guess government should do something about this para hindi na tayo nagkakaproblema every time pagdating ng tag-init. Okay? Now, let's go back to one of the issues that I want to discuss with you guys. Okay? This is about the rising fuel cost. Diba? Hindi ba tayo nabulaga ngayon? Napakamahal ng gasolina. Diba? Lately, tumaas na nga ng almost 13 pesos per liter ang diesel. And the fuel went up to around 7 pesos or 10 centavos to a liter. And kerosene, yung ginagamit natin, minsan pang-ihaw, tumaas. Imagine, isa sa pinakamura yan, ang kerosene. But right now, it went up to 10 pesos and 50 centavos per liter. Well, aside from just like me as a motorist, pati na rin yung mga namamasada, di ba? Pati na rin yung mga naghahanap buhay, lalo na tayo mga Pilipino, we love ihaw-ihaw, di ba? And one way of fast-tracking para magkaroon agad ng baga ang ating mga uling is to douse kerosene. Di ba? I know, I do that. Pero mo, kunyari, ikaw ay isang nagnenegosyo ng ihaw-ihawan sa kanto. Imagine, the kerosene shot up ng 10 pesos. Mabigat yun. And I think this is the highest increase in our history. So hopefully, things settle down in Europe para naman bumalik tayo sa normal. I hope that happens. Now, we don't know sabi ko nga, di ba, last week, government announced that may rollback, pero pwede rin namang after niyan, tataas. Di ba? Hindi natin alam eh. Pwede ngang up and down, up and down. It all depends on what will happen in Europe. So let's all pray that magkaroon na ng ceasefire or peace talks with regards to these two warring countries. Okay? Now, if you notice, ito pa nakakapagtaka, no? Ang taas ng presyo ng gasolina, pero traffic pa rin. Parang, di ba? It's traffic is heavier now compared to before fuel prices increased. Eh sabi nga ng isa kong kaibigan, baka naman pagka bumagsak na yung kanilang fuel tank, ay hindi na sila maglalabas. I don't know. Let us see. But sure, pagka talagang tumaas na and it will affect prices of commodities, I think there will be pagkakaroon na ng pag-iiba na ang labanan dyan. We will be tightening our belts. But having said that, ayaw naman natin na ganyan ang mangyayari. Now that we're now on level 1, di ba? Okay, nawala na ang mga work from home. Marami nang open na ang mga malls. And I guess the Department of Tourism has already opened their country for all foreigners to visit the country. Kaso nga lang, the problem is, and I guess, and I'm sure, that even plane fares will go up. It will be a little bit prohibitive. Because before all this, bago nagkaroon to ng level 1, well, I have some friends Filipino friends in Canada. You know, they wanted to go here dahil it's winter there and they want to come over here dahil mainit ang panahon, visit families. But, you know, before the plane fare was around $2,000. Pero ngayon, hindi sila makapunta because if they will check on the current airfare, it's around $3,000. Hindi pa nagkaroon ng Jera sa Europe yan, ha? Because it became prohibitive and there are few passengers. Kaya, syempre, lugi naman yung airline kapag biyahe, pero ilan lang ang magbabayad. So they have to increase the plane fare. Now, with this war happening, definitely, maski nasabi mong madaming pasahero who wants to travel abroad, but I guess babawi sila sa aviation fuel. Well, let's see what will happen. Well, everything. Lahat naman kasi hindi natin alam eh. Who knows? Who knows? In a week or two, there will be some, or even as we speak, there will be a ceasefire because Russia is already feeling the pinch. And para bang kanta niya yan eh. Parang kanta ni Paul Williams. It's you and me against the world. You know, most of the Western countries are really against what Putin did, and there are only a few countries who supports the move of Putin, or they are just neutral. Kumbaga, well, out kami dyan. Basta sana wag lang mag-away-away at mag-escalate. But to support economic sanctions, we won't do that. Pero it's less than saying that there's a problem, we have to fix it. Okay? So, having said that, we'll go on a short break and we'll be discussing more issues here on Everything Under the Sun. We'll be back.
May problema ka ba sa asawa, kaibigan, katrabaho, boss o
Okay, we're back here on Everything Under the Sun with your host, Jera Sison. Now, eto pag-usapan natin ngayon. One of the hottest topics, hottest summer. Yeah, and what is this topic that I want to discuss with you guys? Well, it's all about the latest survey that came out regarding who is leading in the presidential race for this coming May 9 elections. Okay? Ito I will try to be very objective with regards to this issue. I will just base it on what came out in the latest survey that was released by Pulse Asia. Now, definitely, once I start discussing this, others will say, di naman totoo yung survey na yan. Lalo na kung hindi ka leading doon sa survey na yon, right? But, you know, survey or random sampling to get the pulse of the people, pinag-aralan yan. It is a science. It's also a course in the universities on how to conduct random sampling to get surveys. Okay? Hindi yan parang hinuhugot lang on thin air and come up, eto ang pulso. Like others, yung mga maglalakad, pupunta sa palengke, tatanungin, bibilangin, di ba? It's not that. You have to formulate a good question, come up, pick areas na gagamitin mo ng random sampling so that what would be the result, more or less, would give a picture of the pulse of the people. Okay? Now, there was this column written by a good friend of mine. Actually, he's a friend of my dad, but now he's a good friend of mine. And I guess you know them, or you know him. His name is Tony Lopez. Now, he writes for Manila Standard, and the name of his column is called Virtual Reality. Okay? Now, he was discussing about the survey that was conducted by Pulse Asia last February. Now, it's already March. So we're just talking about March and April, more or less 2 months or less than 2 months before we go to the polling booths to cast our vote. Okay? Now, in his survey or in his column, he says, survey says BBM will win. Okay? Well, this is based on the survey conducted by Pulse Asia, wherein for the past 2 months, BBM was leading by 60%. It never changed. Ang mga nagbago lang, yung mga nasa baba. Yung ratings ni VP Lenny, Senator Manny Pacquiao, Senator Ping Lacson, and Mayor Isko Moreno. Well, the others, no need to, sorry, but we don't need to delve so much on the other presidential candidates who have been getting 0.01, 0.02% in the same surveys since late last year. Now, in one of the columns I read of a good friend of mine, Tony Lopez of Manila Standard, he made a good accounting or explanation with regards to the latest Pulse Asia survey. And he said that survey says BBM will win. Now, definitely, if you are against BBM, you will not accept the take of Mr. Lopez. Diba? Because on the onset, sabi niya nga, surveys say BBM will win. Now, he is just trying to analyze the result given by Pulse Asia that was conducted last February. Now, sabi ko nga noon pa, sinasabi ko na, walang kandidato na tatakbo sa eleksyon kapag alam nila na matatalo sila. It's impossible. Would a candidate run knowing from the get-go that he would lose? Babalaking gastos ang kampanya. It's not a laughing matter. I know. Why? Because in 2001, I ran for mayor of our town, the capital town of Pangasinan, Lingayen. Because I thought I will win. Pero mabigat, magastos, mahirap. Well, that's the reason why I'm here. I lost. Now, going back to the survey, Mr. Lopez said that the 95% confidence level conducted by a reputable survey group must have more or less a 2% confidence or more or less 2% margin of error and a 95% confidence level. And that was what they got in the latest survey. And for the past 2 months of their survey, BBM was leading by 60%. Okay? Now, VP Robredo got 15%. Let's talk about the two. Dahil yun ang pinaka may malaking lamang compared to Mayor Isko who got, I don't know, 10%. Pacquiao got 8%. And even Ping Lacson got 2%. So, medyo wag na natin pag-usapan masyado yan. No? Ang kuha lang natin yung talaga naglalaban. And the others were saying that at the end of the day, come late April, yan ang sabi ng mga pro-Lenny, bubulusok ang survey rating ni Vice President Leni Robredo at magiging tooth and nail pagdating sa dulo ng eleksyon. Okay, now let's go back to the numbers in the survey and as explained by Tony Lopez. Now, let's say lang, parang for the sake of discussion and argument, that the voter turnout come this May would be 60 million votes or 60 million voters that turn out. But in the last elections, the voter turnout was around 80%. 80% ang voter turnout, yung nanalo si President Duterte. And the second place was former Secretary Mar Rojas. Na the difference was around 15 million votes. And we felt that parang landslide. And I was surprised that Duterte won in that last elections. Totoo yan. I was really surprised na biglang bumulusok siya bandang March, April. Now, more or less, ito na nga yung pinag-uusapin na panahon na yun. Now, going back to this survey, let's say that there are 60 million voters turn out these elections. So at 60%, based on the survey of Pulse Asia, BBM would be garnering around 36 million votes. Okay? Now, mag-plus and minus error tayo. Plus 2 or minus 2%. So at minus 2%, BBM at 58% will get more or less 34.8 million votes. Now, kung swinerte daw, kunyari lang these are all just academic discussions. At 62%, he will be getting more or less 37.2 million votes. Now, with Robredo, at 15% in her latest survey, that would be around 9 million votes, given a 60 million voter turnout, or 27 million fewer than what BBM will be getting. So what I'm saying is 27 million votes. Let's say if there is a voter turnout of 60 million with less than 2 months, kaya ba? That's the big question. But as it is, mahirapan sila sa laki ng lamang ni BBM if we will base it on the surveys. Kaya mabigat ang laban ng kampo nila VP Lenny. Okay? So, I just wish them the best of luck. Ang sa akin lang, sana whoever wins in this coming elections, suportahan na lang natin. Di ba? Para umangat ang ating ekonomiya, wala nang bangayan. We were all given a chance to present ourselves to the people and for them to choose who they think or who we think would be the best president to head this country for the next 6 years. Okay? So there you go. Everything under the sun will be back. Don't go away.
Revolution.
Okay, now we have our guest for today. As I was saying a while ago, hindi to si Gary Valenciano. Pero, medyo hawig. But I still consider him as Mr. Pure Energy. You know why I call him Mr. Pure Energy? Because he's involved with the energy sector of our country. Okay? You see him regularly, monthly advisories, press conferences, interview in radio and television. You read him in the news when it comes to electricity. Okay? So, our first guest for everything under the sun is none other than Mr. Pure Energy, the Vice President for Meralco for Corporate Communications, none other than Mr. Joe Saldarriaga. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Maraming salamat, Jera, at isang magandang umaga sa iyong mga tagapanood at tagapakinig. I understand we're on DCRJ Teleradyo. Congratulations sa iyo at ito ay ika nga isang breakthrough sa larangan ng radio magazine type of a show, and mula sa amin dito sa Meralco, binabati ka namin. Hopefully itong ating talamitam, so to speak, o usapan ay kahit papano merong matutunan yung atin at malaman na additional information yung ating mga tagapanood at tagapakinig. Magandang umaga po muli sa inyong lahat.
Okay, great, Joe. Actually, kilala ka nila as the one talking about power, talking about electricity, talking about yung pagtaas at pagbaba ng presyo ng kuryente. But I guess it's high time for our listeners and our viewers to know more about who is Joe Saldarriaga.
Well, medyo matagal-tagal nang may nagtanong sa akin ng ganyan, Jera. No? But Joe Saldarriaga, the one who you see explaining issues on electricity for Meralco in his private time, is a simple person. Ako po ay tubong Makati Rizal. Alam mo, nung araw, hindi pa Makati Rizal yan. Way back in the 60s, it was known as Makati Rizal. It was then, I would think, considered a suburb, di ba? Kasi ang main economic hub at the time was Manila, particularly the Escolta area. So, tayo po ay tubong Makati. Ang mga magulang ko, ang aking ama ay taga Masbate, ang aking ina ay taga Angeles City. Subalit sila ay nagbuo ng kanilang buhay dito sa at that time wala pang Metro Manila. Makati was still part of Rizal Province, so doon ako lumaki. And well, I went to school in LaSalle, actually all throughout my life, from grade 1 up to the time I graduated in college. I'm just an ordinary guy with Spartan way of life hanggang ngayon. Hindi naman nagbago yan. Alala ko pa noon, Jera, I used to take the bus every day when I was in grade school. Araw-araw yon, no? But to me, it was really no big deal because it was the way it is, di ba? At that time, no panahon natin, 60s, growing up in the 70s and eventually in the 80s and finally getting a job mid-80s and then growing through over time in our careers. Pero hindi ko nakakalimutan kung saan ako nanggaling. Sabi nga nila di ba, kailangan patuloy mong alalahanin kung ano yung pinanggalingan mo para na sa ganon, maintindihan mo kung anong gagawin mo sa hinaharap. And this experience has kept me grounded over the years na ngayon ako ay pamilyado na at isa ng corporate professional. Dala ko yung values na tinuro ng aking mga magulang at ng aking paaralan at ang aking mga eksperyensya sa buhay.
Okay, Joe. Going back, sabi mo nga na nandun ka dati sa Makati Rizal pa, di ba? But, alam mo, with your family name and with your mestizo looks, yeah, I mean, it's just an honest question. Didn't you have a hard time blending in with the common people in your side in Makati?
Not at all. Alam mo yung bahay namin noon, kasi I live in ang tawag ang kalye namin Borneo, it's Borneo Street. And then around three blocks away is Buendia. No? Sa Buendia, dun mo makikita meron, mahaba yun Buendia at the time, dun sa bandang Pasong Tamo, nandun yung Alemars, no? Tapos yung ako, maglalakad ako ng 3 blocks, tatawid ako ng Buendia, mag-aabang ako ng bus. Dun sa may, kung di ako nagkakamali, yung gas station at the time, I hope my memory still serves me right, was Caltex. Doon ako mag-aabang. May mga bus doon, MD, JD, Mapalad. Kita mo, naalala ko pa. And that bus would traverse Buendia, take a right sa Taft Avenue, tapos bababa ako doon sa harap ng Lasal at tatawid naman ako, no? Kasi side ng Linginto yung more or less yung Estrada Street yung binababa ko, no? So araw-araw yon all throughout my grade school life. Paminsan-minsan nahahatid ng nanay ko, ng tatay ko, but most of the time I really took public transportation kasi alam mo naman noong 70s, di ba? It was very safe.
Yeah.
It was convenient. Well, hindi ka naman maghihintay na matagal, mga 10 minutes at most, di ba? May bus na diyan, no? Minsan tayuan, pero sanayan yan So that was my way of life. Na yung tinatanong mo kung if I blended, yeah, definitely. Kasi yung lugar namin, nakapaligid doon, Jera, where a community of informal settlers. Yun yung mga kalaro ko growing up.
Yeah.
And then,
so you're grounded.
Yeah, the usual na laro na ginawa namin, text, kung di alam ng mga millennials yun Cartoon yun na maliliit, no? Tapos may mga superheroes doon, tapos paliliparin nyo yun. Kung pareho kayo ng bagsak lagapak nung tinatawag doon, picha, yun yung panalo, no? So, tapos naglaro din kami ng Holland, Chateau. I mean, all of these outdoor plays, I played with them. So, I guess that really also kept me grounded. Kaya sa aking paaralan sa Lasal Taft at that time, I think yung education at saka yung values na tinuro sa amin is really kept all of us grounded.
Yeah.
It's really living life to the best of your ability, keeping it simple. Pero pinaka-importante sa lahat, Jera, sa values na naituro ng aking mga magulang at ng aking paaralan sa akin bilang isang individual, no, bilang isang tao, ay yung pagtulong sa kapwa. Hindi nawawala yan. Public service. I guess that's still part and parcel of my life up to now. In the field I am in, which is communications, it's basically public service, di ba? At the same time, kung may mga pagkakataon naman makakatulong tayo in our own little way, that's what we do. So, these are the things that keeps me grounded and kept me grounded all throughout my nearly 6 decades of existence.
Okay. Pero Job, sige, balik tayo 40 years ago when you just graduated from college. Okay? So after graduating from college, did you immediately land in a job or ano bang ginawa mo right after college? And what was your first job?
We had a family business at the time, so I kind of asked myself if I could ask my mother if I could learn the business. So medyo inaral ko na hanggang ngayon, no, on the side. Alam mo kasi pag magulang, siyempre gusto niya yung mga anak niya matutunan din yung kanyang linya na negosyo eh. So naturuan din naman ako kahit papano. So hanggang ngayon, aside from my professional job dito sa Meralco, on the side I still do the things that is necessary for me to somehow help my family, no, in our business. But the calling for communication was so strong that I landed a job in broadcasting and communications. Na eventually doon ako nagtagal bago ako lumipat sa Meralco. So I took several positions at the time, from being a field reporter. Alam mo naman nung mid-80s towards the 90s, Jera, di ba? Pag sinabi mong reporter ka, hindi naman kamukha ngayon na you have technology as really as your ally, no, as to make things easier. No, hindi, di ba? Typewriter ang gamit natin.
I think actually, Joe, pareho tayo naging reporter noon, di ba?
So things were much different, and we were asked to make siguro a minimum of 4 stories. So yung newscast namin at the time was both in English and Tagalog, so I had to translate that. And you had to, conceptualize the story in your head. At saka kung meron ka pang beat. So, kailangan aralin mo din, no?
Yeah.
I think that's where I learned to navigate the environment in the news industry, broadcast industry, in the journalism industry. Marami din tayong naging kaibigan over the course of our career. And kasama ka na doon, and itong mga kaibigan natin, itong friends that I've been able to really develop over the years for my career as a broadcast journalist up to now as a corporate employee, corporate man in the energy sector. Napakalaking tulong kasi sa trabaho natin, Jera, as you know, tayo bilang ikaw bilang broadcaster at print columnist, ako bilang corporate communicator, importante yung tinatawag na developing relationships.
Yeah.
Kasi these are the people, your friends that will also eventually help you pag may kailangan kang gawin, no, sa larangan ng trabaho natin. And I am thankful to God that over the years talagang marami tayong naging kaibigan, napasama tayo sa ilang mga organisasyon na nakatulong sa akin bilang isang professional. At hanggang ngayon, alam mo, ang lagi ko nga sinasabi sa mga those who work with me, na never stop learning. Araw-araw may bago kang matututunan at isa puso't isa isip mo yan, sapagkat darating yung panahon na yan, natutunan mong yan, magagamit mo sa buhay.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. Pero ako, this is something that it's been bothering, not really bothering, but nandito sa likod ng ulo ko, di ba? Dahil sabi ko nga, pagpasok mo dyan sa ABS-CBN as a reporter, dumating kang, you came in there with that mestizo look. Hindi ka ba inopera na sa entertainment man o kwan? Or even before that?
Well, I did a few, I have to admit this, Jera, no? I did a few commercials even while I was in school. I was in the university and immediately after. And I did a few modeling stints, but that was about it.
Yun na yun.
Hindi talaga, iya nga nila kung hindi para sa iyo, hindi mo maramdaman yung sarili mo na tutuloy mo yung ganung klase ng hanap buhay. Besides, iba yung calling eh. Ika nga, naramdaman mo kung saan ka, para saan ka talaga, doon ka dadali ng Panginoon Diyos eh.
Okay.
At,
Going to that, di ba? Sabi mo nga yung calling, no? If I may interrupt, Joe. From as a TV reporter, paano ka na papunta sa Meralco?
Yes, there was an opening at the time. They needed somebody who had who could help in their media relations. So pinalad naman tayo na mapasama sa organisasyon na hanggang ngayon ay aking pinaglilingkuran. So I've been in the company for more than 3 decades, and I'm very proud to be part of the Meralco family. Malaking ang kontribusyon ng Meralco, as you know, sa ating bansa, particular sa mga pinaglilingkuran nating customers. We have been in existence since 1903. Ang dami ng dinaanan ng Meralco in terms of various events. But sabi ko nga, yung paglilingkod na nagagawa ng kumpanya at kami bilang mga empleyado ay isa siguro sa matuturing kong pinaka-fulfilling sa buhay ko. Kasi yung makapagbigay ka ng serbisyo sa kapwa-tao mo, sa mga customers mo, pag may nangangailangan ng tulong sa kanilang electric connection o kung may kailangan silang information at nabibigay mo yon, it really is very satisfying, no? Especially for a communicator like me. So that's what keeps me going day in and day out. At the back of my head, in my heart and in my mind, it's really service. At the end of the day, it's really giving value to the customers that we serve. So yun yung guiding principle ko lagi.
Dapat yata, Joe, yung ganyan damdamin mo, that the honest feeling, pang-public servant na yan.
Hindi siguro tayo para doon, Jera, no? Kung ako'y papalarin at darating yung panahon that ika nga nila, no, at some point in time, hindi na rin naman tayo bumabata, darating yung panahon talaga na, you know, as they say, you'll have to see the sunset, no? Pag ano yung term nila doon, yung relax ka na lang, tapos na yung iyong tapos na ang iyong karera sa buhay. I'd like to just really end it with Meralco, the company that I've served for more than 3 decades, the company that I continue to serve. At sana patuloy pa akong makatulong sa mga customers namin.
Okay. On that note, magtutuloy pa tayo. Don't go away, Joe. Ha? We'll be just having a commercial break. We'll be back. Everything under the sun. Jera Sison with Mr. Pure Energy of Meralco, Mr. Joe Saldariaga. Our guest for today, inuulit-ulit ko, Mr. Pure Energy of Meralco, Mr. Joe Saldariaga, Vice President and Head of Corporate Communications of Meralco. Joe, eto, second part natin. Well, a while ago, we've discussed about your youth, di ba? Where you graduated, your first job, as a TV reporter for ABS-CBN, and then going to Meralco. Now that you're the Vice President for Corporate Communications of Meralco, no? How was it? Did it change a lot as far as your workload, expectations, responsibilities are concerned?
Well, actually, Jera, ako naman, I have been a communicator all my life, no? All my professional life. So, taking on the bigger responsibility, as you said, is actually I view it as a challenge. I view it as something I should do well as a professional, as a communicator, and as I still consider myself a student, diba? Of the communication profession. Sabi ko nga, araw-araw meron kang sa buhay, kasi hindi naman yan very predictable. We try to we try to control things best we can, but as you know, I'm sure ikaw din, di ba? Sometimes there are curveballs that happen, di ba?
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
agree.
ako ang natutunan ko sa buhay, always anticipate and make sure you're ready. You have a plan. You have a backup plan. And behind the backup plan, if it still won't work, you still have a plan. Ibig sabihin, anticipate mo lahat ng mga possibilities. No? As a professional, I think that's what I practiced, especially in anticipating what you will face in your profession. Siguro hindi lang sa PR, kundi sa lahat ng profession. Kasi hindi naman yan parang ABC na makakalculate mo 1, 2, 3 araw-araw ganun ang ganun. Hindi eh. Merong mga pagkakataon na hindi mo aasahan. Yung aasahan mo given na yon, so more or less mechanical yan eh. Ang kailangan mong anticipate yung hindi inaasahan. Na meron kang plano, ngayon kung hindi ubra yung plano mo, meron ka pa ring kumbaga preparado ka pa rin sakaling hindi umubra yung plano mo, hanggang sa magawan mo ng paraan o magawan mo ng solusyon yung kakaharapin mo, maging ito man ay problema o anumang uri ng issue na kumbaga you will face. Kasi napaka-importante sa lahat na magampanan mo yung iyong tungkulin, na ikaw ay makita bilang isang tunay na profesional ng iyong mga katrabaho, of course ng iyong mga superiors, ng publiko, at higit sa lahat ng iyong sarili. Dapat inside your conscience, did I do right? Ito bang ginawa ko? Tama ba to? Kasi pag tinanong mo sarili mo, may sagot eh. Ngayon kung ang sagot ay parang hindi, parang kulang yung trabaho ko, hindi ba pwede yun? Diba? Kailangan you need to always continuously to step up and do your best 100%.
Actually, Joe, that's where I'm leading to eh. Diba? Sabi mo nga, continuous, pagpatuloy ang mga trabaho, diba? Yung iyong mga responsibilidad. But nagtataka din ako, with all these big responsibilities that you're carrying as the Vice President for Corporate Communications of Meralco, diba? Meron ka pang iba dyan eh, na ginagampanan na role, diba? As co-chair of IABC, diba? You also write columns, diba?
Okay.
You have this regular Meralco advisory, na hindi ko sinasabing mag-sponsor ka dito, ha? Hindi, ha? Diba? You have so many things in your bucket. And at the same time, diba, minsan tayo, every now and then, I have to admit, dahil ito si Joe, kaibigan ko to eh. Minsan nag-uusap kami over the weekends, diba? At minsan, yung family time, it's very important to us. Diba?
Yes,
Na
yes.
minsan mag-uusap tayo, bro, nasa ka? Nandito ako sa Tagaytay with my family. So, how do you do all these things?
Well, ako, Jera, aside from ito yung talaga aking trabaho sa Meralco, I'm also chairman of the International Association of Business Communicators. No? As you mentioned, I write a column for 3 papers, no? Because writing has always been my passion. Doon ko binubuhos yung mga thoughts na meron ako, yung dun sa mga issues that I strongly feel about. No? And also, I'll have to admit, kung meron akong gustong sabihin tungkol sa Meralco na tingin ko makakakontribute sa kaalaman ng publiko, isusulat ko rin yun. Ngayon, bilang chairman ng International Association of Business Communicators, ang akin namang, and previous to that, I was their president, ito naman ay dahilan sa aking advokasya in terms of communication excellence. Tulad nga sinabi ko sa iyo, bilang communication professional, you have to be cognizant of the fact that you have to give your best every time. And ako, nandoon na ako siguro sa punto na bilang professional communicator for more than 30 years, this is my way of giving back the knowledge I've learned all throughout the years at yung experiences na dinaanan ko bilang isang PR professional. And at the same time, syempre importante din yung networking, diba? With various professionals from all over the world. Kasi ang IABC is an international organization, no? Hindi lang yan sa Pilipinas. It was actually started in the United States. Hanggang sa nag-expand nag-expand all over the world, no? So once a year nagkikita-kita yung mga miyembro ng organisasyon at exchanging ideas. Alam mo, ang ganda sa pakiramdam na kunyari yung isang taga-Canada o isang taga-US o isang taga-Japan, mabibigyan ka ng perspektiba ng kanilang hinaharap naman doon, no? Kasi ibang-iba yun eh. Ikaw naman bilang Pilipino, siyempre gusto mo rin itaas ang bandila ng bansa natin, ng Pilipinas. Ang Pilipinas mahusay din pala sa communications. So yun naman ang sinisikap kong iambag. Kaya minsan nagja-judge ako dun sa mga entries abroad, no? Sa International Gold Quill. At through judging these entries, natututunan ko rin yung ibang mga programa nila, no, internationally. Kasi ang perspektiba ng isang natin, Jera, no, bilang mga communication professionals o bilang professionals, kung ano man larangan na yun, dapat lawakan mo. Hindi ka lang nakakahon kung saan yung ginagalawan mo, no? You have to expand your horizon, so to speak. So that is what I share. And that is what I learn at the same time. Give and take yan eh. It's a two-way street. So, yun pa rin ang ating sinisikap hanggang ngayon.
Before we end this, no, as a very known and respected communicator, and coming from the ranks, di ba? Nagsimula as TV reporter, pumasok sa Meralco, assistant sa corporate communications, going up the ladder. What advice can you give to budding communicators or PR practitioner that you are to be successful in their career?
Be resilient. Understand your profession. Continue learning. Always respect your craft.
Mhm.
Put public service ahead of everything else. Make sure you know what you're doing. Diba? And always put in mind that at the end of the day, once you put service beyond anything else, you can never go wrong. Kasi pag nagbigay ka ng serbisyo, yung buong kakayanan mo para makapaglingkod, magbigay ng serbisyo, you cannot go wrong.
Well said, Mr. Pure Energy of Meralco.
Thank you.
Hard-working guy, a hard-working executive of Meralco.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you at mabuhay kayong lahat.
Maraming salamat din. There you go, Mr. Josel Daryaga. Maraming salamat. Everything Under the Sun will be right back. Welcome back to Everything Under the Sun with your host, Jera Sison. And now, we go to our trivia. Ito ang isang trivia na baka pag narinig ninyo, bigla kayo antukin. Did you know that taking a nap could save your life? Research has found that a midday nap can make you more creative, focused, and fresh for the rest of the day. And here's the kicker. Another study found that midday nap can also reduce your risk of heart attack. Oh, naantok ako ha. So ayan ang ating trivia. So kung may time po tayo, take a nap para maiwasan natin ang atake sa puso. Okay, that wraps up our first episode of Everything Under the Sun. Kita ninyo, hindi natin namalayan na tapos na pala isang oras na programa. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng sumubaybay at tumangkilik nitong first episode ng Everything Under the Sun. We hope to see you again next Saturday and at the same time, same station here on RJTV. Okay? Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is your host, Jeras Childhood, and let's discuss next week any issue, everything under the sun.
com/.